Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 9 on DraftKings is here. We're going to talk about 5 players that are coming in projected at under 5% for tournaments. I do want to leave the caveat, though, that just like 2 weeks ago on the shorter slate with 10 games this week on the main slate instead of our usual 12 or 13 due to bye weeks, a game in Frankfurt, and everything else that's happened, you can get away with sub 10% playing like a usual 5% and down play. So while these plays are plays that I believe do have a high enough ceiling to be warranted, are off the beaten path, they are not the be all end all where you just have to get down this low. You don't have to, because it's a shorter slate and plays are going to be a little more consolidated due to less plays overall being active. The cheat sheet is active in our community Discord, smizzle.tv/Discord to join the Discord. And if you wanted access to my week 9 DraftKings cheat sheet, as well as all the VIP channels where you can have a whole host of people to discuss whatever daily fantasy sport you are playing for that day, because daily fantasy can be a very isolating experience. You're all by yourself. We have cultivated a community of folks 10,000 strong for you to discuss NBA, MLB, college football, NFL, UFC, or whatever sport you are playing. Make sure that you're a channel member here, smizzle.tv/join. That's $5 a month. And then you'll get access to all of the VIP rooms and the weekly cheat sheet for NFL. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League is posted for week 9. It is $10. It is 3 max. It is 0 rake. It is the best tournament that exists on DraftKings, but it is not available in the DraftKings lobby. You have to go to smizzle.tv/links if you wanted to find the link to join the Listener League for this week. It has filled every week except for one way earlier in the season, so make sure you get your entries early. If you're watching this video on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, make sure you get your 3 entries now, and I will shout out the top 10 finishers on the Monday recap video, which is available on the Fantasy Football channel every single week. The link for that is also available in the link tree. Smizzle.tv/links will take you to everything that I do. We're going to lead things off with Gus Edwards, coming off of a massive 3-touchdown week, 21 opportunities projected right now at under 4%, 3.5% aggregated across all the sites. The thing with Gus Edwards is you're not going to get many targets. It's just not going to be the thing that happens. He has seen enough usage on the ground, but he is totally touchdown reliant, which is why he exists in this range, right? Back-to-back 20-point weeks. Price is elevated about 1,100. Squares off against Seattle, who has been kind of a pass funnel, and Baltimore stacks are certainly in vogue this week. Gus Edwards is a way for you to leverage off of them and all of the other commoner plays. No, that would be plays for commoners. More common plays would be plays that are held by a wider group of people. Well, Gus Edwards kind of fits into that and allows you to leverage off of those Lamar stacks, allows you to get access to this game in a way that is going to drop your both cumulative and product ownership on this slate. There's not many running backs, as DraftKings has changed the way that they're pricing things. So the value plays are all at running back. And if you're going to differentiate, you want to do it with somebody who has a lot of inside the 5 carries and has a lot of touchdown leverage to go along with him. Gus Edwards fits into that boat. Jordan Addison, apparently we're brought to you by the color purple this week. Jordan Addison does not have the normal quarterback that he has throwing him the football. I understand fully that this is not the same offensive situation that he has been in for the last little bit with Justin Jefferson out, but he is the highest volume outside the numbers guy that they have. Atlanta favored playing at home in a situation where they should score some points. And if Minnesota is forced into a passing situation where they have to throw it 35 plus times, Jordan Addison should still get 7 plus targets in this game for 6K and have absolutely nobody on him, projecting at just about 5% on a slate where everybody wants to play at least one Atlanta player with Drake London out and a lot of value at wide receiver. Bijan Robinson still underpriced at 6,100. Kyle Pitts truthers flocking to him in the absence of London, and everybody who doesn't want to play Kyle Pitts playing Jonnu Smith instead to leverage off of the Kyle Pitts ownership. So Jordan Addison gives us a bring back play to use as a secondary stack with Heineke pushing the ball further downfield than did Ritter when he was under center. And Jordan Addison does make for a touchdown possible, big play eligible, high volume play that if he finds his way to the end zone, just like he has each of the last 4 games, maintains a high enough ceiling to be tournament viable. Chris Godwin, nobody wants to play Tampa Bay doubles. Nobody's wanted to double Baker all season long, but Baker keeps doing good enough things with this offense. And now they're squaring off against Houston, who has been more solid on defense than they were last year. D'Amico's doing a really good job with this team, but like, we have an ability here to get access to a player where we're paying up to be contrarian at 7K. This is the difference in DraftKings pricing. Godwin is projected at 3% ownership right now. And DraftKings has kind of priced up wide receiver 2s across the board. And that's why so many of them end up popping in this video week after week after week. Guys like Jalen Waddle, guys like Devonte Smith, Chris Godwin. Secondary receivers are priced at a point where in previous years they would have been 4,500 to 5,500, are now sitting in this 6,500 to 7,500 range, making them uncomfortable targets, making them projectably on a points per dollar standpoint, not positive values, not grading out as good values. That doesn't take away their ceiling probability or possibility because they are still the same players that they were when priced lower. They're just not popping as well on median projection. But we're not concerned with median projection when we're playing in tournaments, and that's why we want to go after somebody like Chris Godwin. If you double him with either Cade Otton or Mike Evans, in the case that somebody like Baker Mayfield has a 25-plus point day, which he is more than capable of doing and can definitely happen around this Houston game kind of going nuts, that gives you the possibility to enter into a ceiling conversation on a shorter slate to give you the ability to race to the top of the charts on a very low owned stack all around, quarterback and either of the pass catchers, all 3 of them under 10%, multiples under 5%. Devonte Smith, the aforementioned Devonte Smith, coming off of a 99-yard, 1 touchdown performance, 22.9 points, big gap between his floor and his ceiling. Dallas has been in very few serious games this season. They've been an unserious team. Like, that's too mean. It's not them being an unserious team. It's like all of their games are just blowouts, one way or the other. Either they're blowing people out or they're getting blown out. The Eagles, when pushed, like they have been twice against Washington, and should theoretically be, and they were against the Jets, games where they get pushed are the games where Devonte Smith tends to have his biggest games. And with all the attention, rightfully so, being moved over to A.J. Brown, with him having this ridiculously long string of 125 yards receiving, Devonte Smith sits at an undesirable $7,100 price tag, using him as a secondary stack, using him as a bring back player in a Dallas stack. You know there's upside here. He is a talented receiver, high points every ball in the end zone, and earns a ton of targets, short, intermediate, and deep. The ceiling is extremely viable here in a situation where nobody wants to play him, projecting at sub 1% on the weekend. There is not a higher leverage play on the slate than Devonte Smith is right now. And Jahan Dotson would be our other play, filling in at 5%, or under 5% right now, is Jahan Dotson. He may not stay there. With Curtis Samuel projected to be out this weekend, the Commanders receiver is sitting at $5,000, under 5%. The last 2 games with Samuel dinged up, 10 targets, 8 targets. New England could take advantage of Washington's defense, which was already gettable down the field. We'll see if Mac Jones can do that and push this Washington team. But should they have to throw the football, and I assume that they will in order to be successful, we're going to have a situation where Jahan Dotson is going to walk into a lot more targets, and the crowd is going to flock towards 2 other pass catchers on this team. 1, Terry McLaurin. 2, Logan Thomas, leaving Jahan Dotson a high volume way to attack with a ceiling. The talented young player is somebody that we are going to want to go after when it comes to our tournament play. Let's go over to Fantasy Labs and take a look at how we can integrate these 5 players into our lineup building. Here are the positional plays, the rules that I start with on every slate. I also throw one in where it's going to make sure that we have at least one player that's less than 12% in every lineup. You could easily build yourself a tournament group where it says use at least one player from the list of guys that we used here with Edwards, with Addison. We can add Dodson. We're going to add Smith of the Devonte variety. And we'll add Chris Godwin as well, if it'll let me type him. Apply those settings, build us 150 lineups, and make sure that we have this one of each of this group of players in every single lineup. Just realize that when you go over to Fantasy Labs, you're not just going to click generate. We're going to have to massage these lineups to make sure we get the correlations and combinations and allocations that we want. But this is one easy way to get different and differentiated within the lineups that you build. So I wish you the best of luck this weekend. Look out for another video. Right.
He's a legend.